you balance out a long, narrow living room? Hi everyone, it's interior designer Carol Gilman. Let's discover interior design. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 different ways that we can try to de-emphasize the long lines of a long, narrow living room. One of the first things that you can take a look at and that you can try is to find a piece of furniture, the key piece of furniture, like a sofa or a sectional, that will help to kind of break up those long lines of a living room. One piece of furniture I think of right away is a sofa chaise. So a nice piece of furniture that offers a regular sofa seating area, but also has an area that sticks out a little bit for you to recline or lounge. If you just have a sofa or you just prefer to have a sofa, see if you can place something next to it on one end, something that's going to be perpendicular to it. As in this example, they have a love seat at one end. So how does this help to balance out our long, narrow living room? Well, right away, when we use a piece of furniture that can go out in an opposite direction of those long lines, it helps to de-emphasize those long lines. It helps to interrupt that. So whether that's a sofa chaise and the area that goes out into the room a little bit, or having a chair or another piece of furniture next to your sofa, anything that kind of goes out into the space a little bit will interrupt those long lines and help to balance things out. The other thing that you can try is placing an area rug in your living room. When you're looking for an area rug, see if you can find one that either fills up that entire living room area or is big enough that your sofa chaise, your coffee table can sit on the area rug. Also, look for an area rug that maybe is not necessarily a rectangular shape. Is there an area rug that might fit in that area that's a circular shape or an organic shape? Also, look for a rug that has a neat texture to it or something that has a pattern on it. And in a pattern that is not necessarily in long stripes, something that is circular or has other motifs going on in it. And how this helps is that when we place an area rug in our living room area, especially in our conversation area where our sofa or sofa chaise will go, right away, our eyes will be attracted to that area a little bit more. Also, it will help to break up and interrupt those long lines of the space, especially if it's just right where your sofa is. And especially if you have a living room area where you have wood flooring and the direction of the layout of that wood flooring is really emphasizing the long lines of that living room. Right away, when you place an area rug on that wood flooring, it interrupts and stops the lines of movement. It gives us a chance to notice and concentrate just on the conversation area. It kind of de-emphasizes all of the long lines of that space. And if you have a rug that has a pattern on it, other than just a long striped format, it helps to move our eyes around and helps to break up those long lines of the space. Another thing that you can try is to see if there are areas in the room, such as corners or empty spaces on a wall or an empty end of a wall, where you can place something else. And I'm not necessarily recommending filling every square inch of the space, but looking for opportunities where you can kind of break things up a little bit. If you have your conversation area, and that's the main area of the living room, maybe there's another area in the living room where our eyes can go to. So when we think about corners, corners are great places to place a chair and maybe a side table or a lamp. or they're great places to add a tall or wide plant. At the end of a room, that's a nice place to add plants, cabinets, or shelves. And how this helps to balance out the room? Well, it helps that we are also thinking about other areas of the room if we have space to place something else. Also, our eyes will be drawn to those other areas as well as the conversation area, and it will help to de-emphasize the long lines of that space. And another thing that you can try is to make sure you take time to plan out what is on your walls. That's really important when we are planning the overall look and feel of our rooms. Look for opportunities to add mirrors or art or maybe even floating shelves that can go on the walls. And when we're thinking about our walls and the verticality of our walls, think about things like plants or tall shelves or even nice tall floor lamps that move our eyes in a vertical direction. And when you do have an empty area in your room, sometimes we don't necessarily need to place another physical object over there. When we place an artwork or a mirror, something else on that wall, it actually fills up that space. And another thing you can try is hanging draperies on your wall, because those will grab our attention and move our eyes in a more vertical direction. And how do all of these different things help to balance out our room? Well, one thing that's going on is that it's drawing our eyes to things that are higher in the room, and we will notice different things that are on the wall. We're noticing the verticality of things instead of those horizontal long lines of that space. And be sure to add different types of lighting in the room, floor lamps and table lamps, because when they are on at night, the light will spread out on the walls and spread out into the room. And making sure that we have a balance and different layers of lighting in a room really does help to create a balanced look to a room. So which one of these rooms do you think has a more balanced look? Either option A or option B. Please share your choice in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions on this topic, and also if you have any other ideas for us on how we can kind of balance out a long and narrow living room. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.